You're listening to the Copywriter On Call podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Gillis, copywriter, word magic maker, and owner of What Sarah Said. On this podcast, you'll feel empowered to show up online in a way that has you saying, "That's so me." Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Copywriter On Call podcast. I am your host, Sarah Gillis, and I am logging some on-call hours today with my friend, SEO and case study copywriter extraordinaire, Brittany. I'm so excited you're here. Thank you.
Of course, I'm so excited to be here. You want to follow me around all day with that intro?
I mean, all day.
All day.
I'm here for it.
You have a new job.
All day. Let's get into it. So introduce yourself first here, and I would love to know who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do.
Ooh, I like this. And I made notes just in case I get to talking and forget where we started. So I am Brittany Herzberg, SEO and case study copywriter, by way of massage therapy in the pandemic. So that's how we ended up here, the very short version. But I make SEO work for service providers, whether that is a service provider who's a solopreneur and they're wearing all of the hats, or what I like to call supported CEOs with a team of 1+. So I show them how to use SEO. I make it work for them. We get more of that best fit, right fit traffic coming to their site. And I do that with blogs, show notes, case studies, the things that you write and the things that you say. Oh, and then what do I love about what I do? I love so much of it. I really like the conversations, I would say, are my number one thing. Whether it's talking to people on my podcast, going on their podcasts, having calls with my clients, I just love the conversations.
Yeah. I mean, people say that entrepreneurship and business ownership can be really lonely, but I get to talk to people all the time. So I get it, but I don't get it at the same time.
Thank you. I have felt the same way because everyone's like, it's so lonely. And I'm like, maybe I just made it not be lonely.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I feel like for the nature of our work as writers, we have to dialogue with our clients constantly, or else how would we write for them? But I also feel like I've built intentionally good relationships with other business owners, yourself included, to just to not feel as alone. Because I mean, I didn't go to business school. I didn't do all of the stuff. And so I knew that I needed all the support. And I don't know if that's a common thing for all business owners.
Yeah, I agree. And so since I came to the online world from massage therapy, I was very used to the networking and having the support system and having the people. So I don't know if it was because I had that business and I came from the IRL world of a brick and mortar space, or if it's just me and something I do. I really don't know which one that is because I also moved a lot growing up. And you figure out real quick that you need friends and you figure out how to make them, as uncomfortable as it can be for an introvert. You just still do it.
Yeah, totally. I'm totally introverted as well. And so the idea of stepping out and I went to a networking event, I think it was last week. And I was
bless your heart.
Oh my gosh. I was and I told my 9-year-old son that I was going to a networking event and he's like, "You're going hobnobbing?" And I'm like, "Sure am, honey. Sure am going hobnobbing." But it took all of my gumption and all of my guts to go. And I mean, I'm so glad I went. I got to see some friends, which was really fun. But I don't like stuff like that. And so the fact that I have business owner friends who don't feel "Hi, I'm whoever I am, and this is my elevator speech." I'm so glad I don't have to do that on a regular basis.
No, I never liked that. I was in something called BNI, Business Networking International.
Yes. Okay.
Oh, it was a whole thing. And each week you had to say who you are and what you do and who you're looking for. And I was this feels very forced. Can we just make this feel more natural? So for me, connecting with business owners in the online space definitely feels more natural for me.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you too. So yeah, I enjoyed that part of it. And yeah, just the connections are everything.
Yeah. Amen. Okay. Sidebar. I knew we would have some. Whatever.
And we're back.
Here we are. Okay. So first, I want to talk to you. Obviously, today's episode is all about SEO basics for photographers. So I want to talk through the 3 questions that you have that you tend to recommend to business owners to help them get started just in thinking about SEO. So can you walk us through that?
Happily. I love doing this because if you don't start here, you're not going to go anywhere with SEO. You're also not really going to have great business messaging. So the 3 questions I like starting with are, who do you help? How do you help them? And what do you want to be known for or as? Because, again, this really just helps direct you for who do you want to end up in front of? You have a blog. Who do you want to be reading it? You have a case study. Who do you want to get that in front of? You have a website with some photos and like some booking buttons. Like, who do you want that to be landing in front of? And that's so critical. Yes, we can take photos for everyone. Yes, I could give a massage to everyone. Yes, we could write copy for everyone. But you and I can't help everybody. I don't want to help everybody. I really want to be a little bit more selective. I want to have a good experience, and I want my client to therefore have a good experience. So it is really critical to answer these 3 questions, because who do you help is getting at the people. And like I said earlier, I help service providers. When I was a massage therapist, I was helping people who had like chronic migraines and they were sitting at a desk for work. So those are 2 pictures that I can paint for people where they're like, oh, that's me. Oh, I'm a service provider. Oh, I have a team. Oh, I'm just a solopreneur. Oh, I sit at a desk all day. Like, you want people to be identifying with that and then like leaning in. Oh, how can you help me? Oh, you do this, this, this. Okay, great. And even if you're saying something that they aren't looking for, they may still resonate with you, and they're going to log that information. Maybe they have a friend. Maybe their husband is looking for someone. You just never know. So getting clear on who you're helping, what those offers are, and not having that be like a 15-item long offer suite, because that's very overwhelming to people. But having that be more condensed, and then knowing what you want to be known for as. I didn't even realize that I wanted to be known as like the SEO and case study copywriting queen, but my friends started calling me that, and I was like, oh, I really like this. So yeah, we're just gonna go with this.
I love that. I love that so much. I think that it's important to like demystify SEO, and that's what I love about these 3 questions, because like if you get overwhelmed by the jargon and all of the crud that you're supposed to think about, it takes you away from like the very basics at the center, at the core, which is who do you want to get in front of and how can we help you get in front of them? Like, that is it. That is the basic.
Yeah, period, the end. I mean, that's all we're doing here. You mentioned something like SEO, search engine optimization. People hear those words, and at search, they're shut down. They're like, I don't even know what the EO is. But like, I can't. And
I'm done.
You have to. You know, I talked about moving a lot. And one other thing that I did was I was pretty much a straight A student. I was like the one who knew all the things. I took advantage of all of the extra credit. And this SEO in business is extra credit. Why not take it? You have the spots to plug in the keywords. You have the ability to write whatever copy. Be intentional with it. Be thoughtful about it.
Yeah, I love that. I was always the kid who did the extra credit too, especially in math class, because that was the only way I was going to like keep my head above water. Like any extra credit, I was like, okay, 2 points here, 4 points there. Here we go. I'm going to make it. I'm going to make it. So I love that you consider SEO as extra credit, because I mean, hopefully we all are creating some sort of writing on our website that is communicating to our ideal audience. But is it doing so in the exact way you want it to? And is it working hard enough for you? That's where the extra credit piece, I think, comes in.
Yeah, and that's a really good point too, of like, is it working the way you want it to? Because I kind of accidentally ended up doing SEO the right way with my massage website. Right? Woo-hoo! So I was like, what did I do? And how do I do this again? And how do I show other people how to do this? So I was being very intentional with my words. I was being very thoughtful with it. If I think back, I remember drafting that copy, and all I cared about was informing some stranger of this is what a massage is. This is what it can be. This is what it's going to be like with me. This is how you get to me. This is why I love this work. I was including stuff like that, like the step-by-step of like, you get on this street, you take a right, you go over here, the door's over here. Like, I was probably over-explaining myself, but people felt so comfortable by the time they got in. And they knew where they were going. They knew who I was. They knew what to expect. Whether it was their 50th massage or their first, like, they felt good about it. And I want people to feel good about that. Don't we all?
Yeah, of course. And I love that you mentioned like, take a right, do this location, because hello, photographers, like, it's really important that you say where your location is as a photographer. Like, I get that you want to be like, I can serve anyone, especially if you're stepping into the education space. But honey, you cannot serve everyone, right? Like you need to have your location and it needs to be nuanced enough to like think about the greater region, the greater area, right? I was just working with a photographer in Wilmington, North Carolina, which is like
Yeah.
bucket list spot for me where I want to go. I
Oh,
want
it's
to
an
travel there
amazing spot.
sometimes. Oh my gosh.
I'm from
It's
North Carolina.
Oh, girl. See, I didn't even know this. This is fun. Okay, so like it's the total TV nerd in me, like the Dawson's Creek and One Tree Hill
Yeah.
person inside of
Yes.
me
One Tree Hill.
wants to go there so bad. Yes, girl.
Go do it.
And I just want to go on to all the spots. But anyways,
Mhm.
sidebar. Anyways, it's important to think about not just Wilmington, but like what are the other communities around you and how can you speak to those communities? So it can be as simple as just listing in your footer, these are the surrounding communities, these are the bedroom communities that I also serve. So you're not just showing up for Wilmington, but you're showing up for the other regions in that area too.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. I was there. I was in Raleigh, and I would talk about like Apex, Raleigh, Durham, Cary. Like these are all places that are like
Yes.
right next to each other, and it's a giant area and lots of people. My dad is a replacement window salesman. He also, like, I helped him with his website copy, and we talked about the greater Raleigh area. We also included
Yeah.
things like he goes all the way out to Wilmington. I think he was actually there yesterday, funny enough.
Oh!
I know. So, we had that. I also had a ton of photographer friends because, fun fact, I wanted to be a photographer before I wanted to be a massage therapist before I became a copywriter. I've had like 18 lives already. It's amazing. But I really cared about making sure my photographer friends were talking about the different areas that they could work in, whether they had, I have one friend who's a boudoir photographer, so people come to her house, but she also has gone and done stuff like on location. She got to go to this like old castle thingy-majigger. I don't even know where that was in North Carolina. It's gorgeous. So, I mean, yeah, just think of that. Like, are you traveling out to places? Are people traveling to, it doesn't matter. Like, you're gonna be attracting and cars are gonna be going to different locations no matter if it's you or your client. So that's a great point to like speak to the area. You could have a blog about the areas that you serve. You could have an entire blog about clients that you've worked with and listing their locations and like Sydney drove from here and Chantel drove from here and like whatever. I mean, giving examples is really impactful, not only for SEO, but also for the person who's going to go and read that post or whatever copy on your website.
Yeah. Amen. I love that so much. So let's get into the keyword piece of it. Okay. So one of the most important parts of SEO strategy is the keywords. When it comes to the keywords, I would love just any simple advice you have for photographers specifically related to keywords.
Yeah. So I'll do two things and I'll tell you both in case you have to like bring me back. First is that you're going to start with social proof and looking at what your clients have to say. And then the second piece is like where to use it on your website page. So you'll probably have to bring me back there. But starting with, I mean, if you've ever seen anything that I share, I talk about social proof, I talk about SEO, I talk about storytelling. They're all very important, but they're all going to start with that social proof. Because if you look at what your clients are saying, how they're describing the work that you're doing, what the session was like with you, how you made them feel, what they desired when they came to you. Oh, I saw that you had done a shoot like this, and I really wanted something like that for myself. Or if it's, I really had a terrible experience with my last photographer, and I wanted to avoid that. I had this problem. I couldn't use these photos. I paid for it. I really didn't want to end up in that situation again. We have these two things. We're either trying to avoid a pain and like fix a problem, or we're trying to like go for this desire, this more of like a positive type of thing. So look at what your people are saying. And I'm talking, go back through those DMs, go back through your emails, go into like, I don't know, people are on Slack these days. I'm on Voxer. Like there's so many different software things, but comb through that. If you're like me, I love taking screenshots whenever someone says anything nice or not nice or helpful or just like questions that they're asking. I have a happy folder on my desktop and I just like usually shove it all in there because I want one centralized location where if I'm, sharing a new product about SEO something, then I can go in through there and say like, okay, what are things that I can point out? How can I use this to help me do keyword research? What are some testimonial things that I can bring into this page? It all matters. It all like just turn your listening ears on and keep them on and see what people are saying and start there with keyword research because is that how they're explaining things, describing things, the words that they're using does not include any of the jargon that we naturally use.
Yes.
It's like jargon free.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how people are going to be searching. Those are the terms that they're going to be typing into the search bar. Those are the things that they're going to be looking for. That resonates with them. What we say naturally may resonate with them, but that is definitely going to resonate with them if you're taking what other clients are saying and using that.
Yeah, 100%. Love that. Love the social proof angle. What's the other one?
Oh, right. So taking your keywords and using it on your website. As photographers, I think we're going to get into image optimization, but use your keywords in your images. There is a way, and we will talk through that. That is such a missed opportunity, especially for photographers. Please, my friend, don't miss that. Don't miss that anymore. We just got best practices moving forward. You can also add keywords into your headlines. So there's one, I made this mistake early on, and I didn't know that I was doing it wrong until I dove into SEO, and I was like, I've been messing up there. H1 headlines. They're the big, pretty, fancy ones. They're super territorial, and there can only be one, and there should be one on every single page. Not 4, not 5, not 20, 1. I totally
you hear that, people? Up. 1. 1.
So you have this one H1 headline. Generally, it's at the top. It's the big thing that people are going to see when they get on any, about page, your homepage, blog post, what you name it. And then you have H2s and H3s that help organize the information on whatever page it is. In all of those headlines, you can use keywords. You should be using keywords. It is very smart to use keywords because it helps your reader to understand and absorb the information quickly on the page, because I think the statistic is like 80% of people only read the headlines. They don't read the nice like body copy that we stress out about.
Which is just bizarre to me because I'm like, I read every word.
Yeah, I mean,
that's who I've been always. I've always been the person who reads every word.
Yeah, for me, it depends. I used to be like the every word reader, and now I'm like, oh, I'm a skimmer now. Oh,
man, that's so funny.
Know. It is really funny. But yeah, so it helps your reader to make sense of the information quickly, and it also helps search engines to organize that information and figure out, using that stuff, who to put you in front of. So it really, really, really matters. What else could you do? Your URL slug? Oh, yeah, that's a good one. Your URL slug. All right, let's talk about that one. You want to have your keywords, and you want to have it written with dashes. If I'm saying stuff and you're like so confused, I have a resource and I'll mention it at the end that helps you make sense of this. But you don't want to just say like Brittany Herzberg SEO copywriter, where it's like one phrase. We don't want to do that. Every word we want to have a dash between. No spaces, no periods, just dashes, not clumped together. Again, that helps for search engines to be able to make sense of this piece and put it in front of the right person.
Yeah. I see that so often if it's like, like whatsarasaid.com/about. And it's like, instead, you could do something way cooler, like meet Sarah copywriter for photographers, right? Like you could do that. And I mean, about, it's still your about page, but the URL slug, the actual piece that you type in, could have a keyword in it. Why not take that opportunity?
Yeah, and I played around with that. I tried doing that, and I was like, let's see what happens here. And it didn't really help me all that much, so I decided to go back and use I know. But play with it. I mean, a lot of SEO is having a theory and testing your hypothesis. Like, I've been saying that a lot recently with my clients, and they're like, oh, yeah, it kind of is. Because, SEO is one of those hard things because it takes time to work, and because we don't necessarily feel like we know what it's going to look like when it is working.
Yeah.
What it's really honestly, gonna look like is traffic. Yeah.
You don't have to get it right the first time.
Like, you don't.
Yeah. That's the thing I really want people to hear is like, you can try things, and if it doesn't work, just change it. Just redo it. It's okay.
It's okay.
I love that.
Like, let that pressure go. And that's coming from a recovering perfectionist. So,
Same girl. Same over here. Same over here. We're in good company.
Yes.
Okay. So when it comes to images, I want to talk through the 3 different things, the 3 different considerations that photographers need to think about when they're optimizing images on their websites. So lead us there.
I shall. And I'm going to start with, if I know photographers, which again I do, you have all of these photos already on your website. There's a lot. Let this just be, again, best practices moving forward. And then if you have the time, or you want to carve out the time, or you have an assistant that you want to help you with this other stuff, you can. Other stuff meaning like the photos that exist on your website. Again, it will be okay. So the 3-step process to optimizing images for your website, this is what you want to do. We've done the keyword research. Now we want to title our images using those keywords. So, an example, actually, I haven't done this before. Let me read some of mine. Let's do that, shall we?
Let's do that. That sounds fun.
So here's just a few random ones. And again, this is written like word dash dot JPEG or whatever. You all know way more about that, the file type and stuff, than I do. That's not my jam. But here's an example. Blog with and for SEO course, Brittany Herzberg. Brittany Herzberg SEO blog copywriter. SEO basics checklist, YouTube tutorial, Brittany Herzberg. So again, obviously these are headshots of mine, where it's like Brittany Herzberg all over all of them. But I want to make sure that I have keywords in there. I want to make sure that I have my name or a business name or a location or something like that in the image title. If you are, I don't know, taking pictures of a celebrity, maybe use their name, or at least a well-known person, use their name in the title there as well. When I am doing image titles for my podcast, I will have the guest name and then the key phrase, like the big idea that we talked about for that episode. There are other things where I have my podcast name or my name or something like that. So again, it's just being intentional and smart with those keywords and using them in the title. So that is step 1. Do that, please. We don't need any more of the IMG 54321. And here's another thing. We just don't need. But here's another thing. It didn't really land for me until I was on the phone with a friend of mine who is, of all things, I still don't know how this woman does it. She's a blind web designer. And she had this, right? I love Robbie. So she had this thing called Jaws. It's like a screen reader. So she's blind. And this auto voice robot is reading the page to her. It got to my titles of my images, and that's what it was doing. IMG 45321. And I'm like, oh, that gives her nothing. She has no idea what the picture is of. Nope. Okay, so then I know I need to have the image title, and that at least gives her some kind of an idea of what the picture is about. Yeah. So that's step 1. Title the image properly.
Yeah, and again, accessibility is important. I love that you mentioned that.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. When I heard that, I was like, this has to be something I tell everyone about.
Yeah.
No one else can make this mistake. And again, we don't know what we don't know until we hear about it, and then we're able to move forward with different practices. So step 1, retitle the image. You must do this on your laptop or desktop before you pull it back into your website if you're doing this on existing images. And therefore, it's just an easier thing to do moving forward. So step 2 is resizing the image, because a lot of times we have these beautiful raw images and they're gorgeous, but they are heavy. When we think of it from a website perspective, that file is heavy, and so it's slowing down the page load speed, which I don't know if you've been around people recently, but we like things like quick, fast, in a hurry. And so that doesn't really enable that. So I love using, it's free. And I'll give you the link, but it's tinypng.com.
That's my fave too. Love that.
It does not mess with the image quality, right? I mean, you can attest to that.
Yeah.
It's still pretty. So you run it through there. And I think I usually just double check that the image title doesn't say anything like tiny PNG or anything like that. I want that original title.
Sometimes it adds minimize at the end. That might be another one. Compressed PNG might be doing that. I don't know. Anyways, double check.
Just double check. Double check that title. And if it makes more sense, I really hadn't thought about this until I'm saying it right now, but if it makes more sense to you to compress the image and then title it, do that.
Yeah. Based on whatever your process is, do that.
Yeah, exactly. Work smarter, not harder. And then the third step and the final step is to then pull in the image into your website, whether it's a blog or a portfolio or whatever it is. Pull the image into your website, and you want to make sure that there's some alt text there. So there's a couple different things I like to point out. If it's a screenshot of something, because I do use screenshots for social proof quite often. If you go to my website, people are I live in my DMs. Like, people say hi,
Mhm.
we have fun. I'm over on Threads now. We have conversations over there.
I love
So
Threads.
I love Threads. Just a moment
It's
for
so
Threads.
unhinged. I just love Threads.
It's amazing. But I take screenshots because people are
Mhm.
constantly saying really cool, fun, smart things to me. So if you have an image of, let's go with screenshots for now, and I've titled it, I've resized it, it's in my blog, I want to say something like ID for image description, and then I'll put, like, I think it's a colon, the 2 dots. I never say the
Colon.
right
Yes,
thing.
girl.
A colon, and then I'll say something, John said this about the Basic Bee podcast, and like put the quotes. So you want to make sure that the thing that you want them to know from the image, you want to make sure that that's somehow stated in the alt text if it's a screenshot. And if we go to like a regular image, then we want to be descriptive about it. So I'll just say something off the top of my head. Like, if I'm going to do alt text about like how I look right now, I would say Brittany Herzberg, SEO and case study copywriter, is wearing a pink sweater and, having a podcast interview. I don't know. But you want my name. I've got my name. I've got what I do is in there because, again, it's of me. And that's going to be a key phrase that people are searching for, is like SEO copywriter, case study copywriter. And if I were to close my eyes and have someone read that to me, just want to make sure that it's descriptive enough where like I can picture that image, because that's what's happening for someone else.
Yes, 100%. I think that early on in my copywriting days, I confused image title and alt text.
Oh no.
So I would always title my images "Copywriter sitting at desk." And I'm like, that's not helping anyone.
It's
like, and then I would put the same thing in my alt text, and so that's what they would see, is just "Copywriter sitting at desk, copywriter sitting at desk," and I'm like, this is not helpful. But the idea of using keywords in your title and then using the alt text to describe what you're seeing in the photo or what is happening in the screenshot, there's a difference, people. That's all I'm saying. There's a difference. Think through the difference.
Yeah.
Keywords are for the title. Actually, what is happening in terms of description, that's for the alt text.
And then if you can shove some keywords in the alt text, amazing. But that's really like the real big thing there, is to make sure that you're making it accessible for everyone to be able to envision what's going on.
100%. And I just want to emphasize one more time, even though you said this at the beginning, moving forward, make better choices. You don't need to take down every single image and put every single image back up. You don't need to do all of that. Just moving forward. Do your best work moving forward. It's going to be okay.
And I mean, if you go check out my website, it's not 100% perfect because I put that rule to use for myself as well. It's like, just like give yourself some grace with that, because there's, if I know I have several images, I know you have several more images.
Yep. Yeah. Once I figured out the difference between image title and alt text, I made better choices moving forward. That's all any of us can do, really.
One step at a time.
All right. I want to shift into you personally just for a hot minute. So I always ask my clients about the clients that they work with, and showing up online in an authentic way is really important to me. And one of the things that I love to showcase on this podcast is how you can feel more confident in showing up as who you are online in your business. So I want to talk to you a little bit about how your clients are showing up online and what's holding them back from feeling like, okay, I can just be myself online. So tell us a little story.
The entire inspiration behind, largely the inspiration behind my podcast is that I have noticed, even myself, like getting to this point where I'm tired of trying to fit into everybody else's box and say the right thing and do the right thing. And really, I just want to be me. And I want to draw in the people who like me for me, who want the work that I do. Again, I am not out here trying to help everyone. I can't, and I don't want to. And that's not me being mean. That is just straight up, that is my capacity. I do not have the capacity to help like even a billion people. Like, I just don't. And that's fine. So that was really my growth journey over the last, I would say, 2 years, really, really the last 18 months, is who am I? What do I really want this business to be about? Who do I want to help? How do I want to show up? How am I different? What makes me special? Because I know that I'm special, and just like everyone listening is special. So tapping into that and just getting to the point where it's like, embracing that and and
Mm.
confidently moving forward as you to your fullest self, that is such a big hurdle. And where I see
Yeah.
that show up in business with people is with niching. Because
Mm.
again, it's important because I can't help and I don't want to help even a billion people. It's not happening. So
Mm-hmm.
how can I figure out that group or that group of business owners or people or that problem I want to solve or that desire I want to help people achieve? Like, what is that thing? And you can break this down a number of different ways, but like, what's that core group of people? What's that thing? What do I feel good about doing? What do I want to continue doing? And just go for that. Start there. So really the first 3 questions that we talked about, who do you help? How do you help them? What do you want to be known for or as? Those questions, as simple as they seem, and hearing them, you're like, oh yeah, this is like easy breezy, no big deal. I thought the same thing. And then I made myself sit down and do that. And I was like, oh, holy bananas. This is like way harder than I thought. No wonder my clients are getting tripped up here. But really
Mm-hmm.
at the core of it, it's not those 3 questions. It's, I'm really nervous to
Mm.
say that this is what I'm about. I'm really scared to put myself out there and do this. I'm really like, maybe they're not ready to embrace certain things. And that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
But like,
Mm-hmm.
awareness is the first step, right?
Yes. And I think it's with niching, especially, it's like if I say yes to this group of people that really lights me up and that I really want to serve and that are really a good match for what I do and what I want to do, am I saying no to everyone else? And it's like sometimes the no's open up the doors to the yeses, and that can be powerful. But at the end of the day, you're still the boss, right?
Yeah.
And so if you want to say you're focusing just on photographers, raising my hand here, but there's a florist that comes and wants to work with you, you have the ability to say, yes, girl, I'm here for you. Right. And so I think that when it comes to niching down or when it comes to making any of these sort of narrowing decisions in your business, yeah, saying no, you can feel like you're saying no, but you're still the boss at the end of the day. It's just about how can you clarify your messaging and really show up in the way that feels good.
That, and you reminded me of something I like to say, which is that you're not married to that decision. You're like dating
Mm-hmm.
it, at least at that point. You're not allowed to never say no. Just like you said, you're totally allowed to bring on a client that doesn't fit the profile or do the
Mm-hmm.
work that doesn't fit the profile. Like, that's okay. There's plenty of things that I've said yes to because of whatever reason. It was the right fit, it was the right time, it was the right client, it was the right project, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter because
Yeah.
like you said, you're the boss and you get to make these decisions, which I think is really weird for us, even though we've been business owners for a while. You and I and anyone listening, like, it's just the weirdest concept of like, wait, I'm in charge?
I
People
get to
like,
say yes
no
or
one's
no.
come after me for this yet?
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially as a teacher, like I was handed everything. I was told, this is what
Yeah.
you do. This is what you teach. And to be like, wait a minute. Do I have to? Can I do it this way? I'm going to do it this way. That is a complete warped way of living. I'm still like looking over my shoulder almost 4 years later, being like, who else is going to be in the room with me when I, make this choice?
Yeah,
It's
yeah. Who's
bananas.
proctoring this? It's weird. And I've
Yeah.
seen that play out with my boyfriend too. He was a college professor and he's still
Yes.
like, he said the same thing. I had everything. Like, I was told what to do, when to do it, what classroom to show up to. And he was like, and no, I'm making all the decisions. And it can be weird and it can be uncomfortable, but it can also be freeing if you let it be.
Yeah, super freeing. I love it. Okay, so back to you personally one more time here.
Mhm.
What has it been like for you to finally feel like, okay, this 18 months to this 2 years of discovering who you are and how you want to show up? What has it been like for you to finally like feel like, okay, I know pieces about myself. I know how I want to be and how I want to show up online as part of like as an extension of my business. What does that feel like?
It was really terrifying. It is really fun. It
Mm,
is so fun. And I do feel really seen for the first time in a long time, which is a big
mm,
deal. Like,
it's
I'm
powerful.
everybody else's cheerleader, and I hear this come up a lot in my DMs because I
Mhm.
genuinely believe in everyone and like, I see the best in them. And I finally started to do that with myself. And
Yeah.
I thought I was doing that with myself, and I just like so very wasn't. And so for me to like be, okay, line is drawn in the sand. I'm going to go forward with this. And to have the response that I've had, which has been a lot of cheerleaders that I
Mm.
did and didn't know that I had, and to just like see how it's resonating with people. I have a podcast episode called SEO is a Soulful Experience. That actually took off. Like, who in the French toast thought that, right? Like,
yes,
so
it's bananas.
Mm-hmm.
It's bananas, and it's so wonderful. And I think that what I've learned in the process is that it's always worth the effort that it takes to show up for yourself and to show up as yourself in your business. Because I mean, leaving behind like the stuffy old HR policies of you need to be very formal and stiff and icky, it's so freeing for our generation to experience, but it's also so freeing for our clients to see us do it. Right?
Oh,
Because
totally.
I mean, you and I are business to business in terms of the way we serve clients. And so to show another business owner how it's possible to show up and talk about whatever you want to talk about on your stories and have whatever, lens you're viewing the world through be a part of who you are and how you show up and how you engage, to give them that freedom and that permission right in return by just modeling it, that is so powerful.
Oh, it really is. And I don't know if you know much about human design. I feel like we've had this conversation. I'm a 3-5 Manny Gen. So
yeah, girl, remember, I'm like just the gen. I'm just the generator. And I'm feeling like totally slighted that I'm not the manifesting generator.
We'll just
So
give
here
you,
we
like,
are.
The honorary manifestor card.
I mean, yeah, I need to make a shirt or something like that.
I'm sure there's one out there.
I mean,
you can't be the only one.
The comparison is just intense. Anyways, sidebar. Go ahead. What were you saying?
The point of it was that it's either the 3 or the 5. I think it's the 3 where it's like the experimenter. So I really, my thing is to live and do an experience and then to be like, all right, like to hold court and tell everyone about it.
Love that. I love the idea.
A podcast is like perfect. Me finding a way to teach things is perfect. And it always has felt like the right thing to do. But then when I saw the results of that, and all it is your birth date, time, and location. Once I saw all that stuff, I was like, oh, yes, this makes so much sense. So it is really cool to be able to be that example for other people. And maybe it'll impact them. Maybe they'll change some things. Maybe it'll take a year or 2 before they do that. But at least they've been exposed to it, and at least I have my own back now.
Yes. Oof. Yeah, that's good.
Right?
That's good. Okay, shifting gears one more time. Tell me all about your new digital product. I was telling you that I literally have this open in my internet browser on my phone, like hovering over the buy button. So tell us what we all need to add to our carts, this new digital product you have.
Yeah, it is. If you're a podcaster and you want to really be intentional about using SEO and using blogs to promote your podcasts, this is a thing that you are going to want, and it's on sale at least for a little bit. And you know what? I'll make sure that you have a discount code for your people. Yeah, just remind me.
Girl.
We'll do this because price is gonna go up in a few days, and I'm like, this isn't gonna be coming up for a while.
Don't worry, we got you, peeps. We got you.
We'll figure this out. So it is a podcast show note template plus a blog post template. Both of them are geared toward showing you how to incorporate SEO to make your podcast and your blogs more findable. And there's 2 video tutorials that walks you through each of the templates. And I was floored because, again, back to Threads, I kept seeing all these conversations pop up on my Threads, like the homepage thing, whatever we're calling that. I don't even know, but it's like where all the conversations. Yes,
whatever
the feed.
That
I was seeing lots of podcasters talking about blogs, lots of podcasters talking about SEO, and I'm like, I have this stuff. Like, hi, and I was like, okay, let me just put this together, because I had put it together for a couple of my clients. And I was sending it out to my clients and just incorporating that in their SEO packet. And then I was like, I should just like bundle this up and sell it. So this happened. We're recording this on a Wednesday. This happened on Saturday where I put it all together. Girl. And it's just like flying off the shelves, and it's really cool. And I even had Lindsay Padilla from Hello Audio download. I know. Yeah. So like I've got some really incredible people who are like, this is the thing. And I'm like, thank you. What is happening? Thank you.
Of course it's happening. Yeah. Love it. Okay, awesome. I need it. Everybody needs it. If you're a podcaster, you need it. We'll make sure the link is in.
You want to be.
Yeah, totally. We'll make sure the link's in the show notes for you. I love that you've got like people grappling for it. That's so freaking exciting. Love
It's
that so much.
fun. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, friend, for being here. I'm sending you a big virtual hug. Be sure to check out the show notes for all of the insider info, all the links, all the good things. And don't forget to subscribe to Brittany's podcast, The Basic Bee. I just love that so much. Love that name so much. Thank you all so much for listening. And as always, this is your copywriter on call signing off. Thanks for listening to the Copywriter on Call podcast. If this episode has you feeling all sorts of inspired to show up as yourself online, click that subscribe button so you don't miss my stories or practical advice to help you express your quirky, vulnerable, and authentic self online. Chat soon.